करेंगे। हो गया तो लाइव। Everyone, let us start with our topic today. That is, we will resume our topic that we had finished yesterday. First of all, we will start by introducing myself. My name is Azari, and I will be teaching you polity today. Now, let us give a very first of all 22/11/2023. First of all, let us give a very brief recalling of what we had done yesterday. Yesterday we had started with the salient features of the Constitution. Then we covered three major points: that it is the lengthiest written constitution. Then we had seen that constitutions are divided into two parts: written and unwritten. Similarly, the Constitution of India is the lengthiest written constitution of the world. So, four major factors were responsible for this. Historical factors that I had explained yesterday. We have a single constitution for the center and the states. Then we had seen that administrative details are included in the constitution itself. And another important thing is the Constituent Assembly was composed of lawyers. Now, then we had diverged to the sources of the Constitution. We had seen that the Constitution of India was built after borrowing from constitutions of 64 different countries. There is nothing wrong in adopting and learning. Canada, first we have seen that Canada, the Constitution of Canada contained federal structure that we had borrowed, advisory jurisdiction of the Supreme Court, residuary powers to the center. Then I had explained the three lists in the 7th schedule. Then from the Constitution of USA, we had borrowed office of the president and the impeachment procedure. Impeachment procedure means the removal process. Then we had seen about the fundamental rights. This is very important. We will cover it in our coming lectures. And these are the things: removal of judges of the Supreme Court, office of the vice president, judiciary. We have an independent judiciary and the doctrine of judicial review. Then we have seen that from Ireland we had borrowed election of president, directive principles of state policy in the part 4 of the constitution, nomination of members to the Rajya Sabha. Then from United Kingdom we had borrowed the idea of single citizenship. It does not matter wherever we live in the country, we are the citizens of only one India as a whole. Then the system of bicameral legislature, where the parliament is divided into two houses, the upper house and the lower house. Then the office of the CAG, equality before law, Article 14, the lawmaking process. This also I had explained yesterday in a brief span. Then we have seen that from Germany, emergency provisions such as suspension of fundamental rights during an emergency. And this process was used by Hitler to capture power. France, we have seen the idea of republic and ideas of liberty, equality, and fraternity. LEF or fail. Then from Russia, fundamental duties, Article 51A. Then the ideal of justice, From South Africa, we have borrowed the amendment procedure. This we are going to study in our today's lecture. Election of members of the Rajya Sabha. Then from Japan, we have borrowed the procedure established by law. Another thing that is due process of law is included in the Constitution, that is borrowed from the American Constitution. Australia, we have seen the concurrent list. This I had explained above. Then freedom of trade, commerce, and intercourse, Article 301. Then joint sitting of the two houses in case of a deadlock. Then from Government of India Act, we have seen that Office of Governor, Federal Scheme, Judiciary, Public Service Commissions, and Emergency Provisions. Now let us continue. Third salient feature is blend of rigidity and flexibility. Now what does this mean? Rigidity means that the constitution can be altered, modified by a process which is neither too easy nor too difficult. Actually, in the Indian Constitution, there are basically three major types of amendment procedure. One type, the Parliament can, okay, we will see it in here itself. Parliament can alter any provision like an ordinary law. These are divided into three types, like an ordinary law. Second is by special majority. Of both the houses. Now, what all these terms are, we will see in the coming lectures. First, just get on brief know-how. Third is by special majority with the consent of, of the state legislature. Actually, this rigidity means, first of all, according to the constitution, the parliament can alter any provision of the constitution. But in 1973, Supreme Court, in a judgment called as Kesavananda Bharti case, promulgated that on the provisions which form the basic structure of the constitution cannot be altered. Parliament can alter any provisions of the constitution without altering the basic structure. The basic structure is the basic structure is determined by the Supreme Court as and when the need arises. Next, we will see is federal system with unitary bias. Both important thing is federal system with unitary bias. Now, federal system means the power is divided in two or more than two organs. In India, the power is divided among the central government, the state government, and the local government, which is also called as panchayats or municipalities. It is also called as third tier of government. Now, let us continue. Federal system with unitary bias. Fifth important thing is federal system. State government and local government. Panchayats and municipalities. Panchayats and municipalities. The central government, the headline is federal system with unitary bias. Unitary bias means central government is more powerful than the state government. As we have seen above, that the constitution divides the subjects into three lists: the central list, the state list, and the concurrent list. So important subjects are included in the central list, and subjects which require uniformity all over India are included in the central list. Very quickly we will edit here. And important subjects. Next is another salient feature of the Constitution of India is parliamentary form. Parliamentary form with or Westminster model. Westminster is the place where the British Parliament assembles. So, parliamentary form means the government is a part of the legislature. For example, PM and other ministers are an important part of the parliament. The PM is the government. PM is the leader of the government. Executive is a part of legislature. Executive here means prime minister or council of ministers. Council of ministers. And this is also one of the basic features of the constitution. Now, next important thing is synthesis of parliamentary sovereignty. And judicial supremacy. This means that Parliament can enact any law. Parliament can enact any law, but Supreme Court has the power to determine the validity of that law. And Supreme Court can make a law invalid, can declare a law invalid if it is ultra vires to the constitution. Now this is very important. Ultra vires means against the provisions of the constitution. Against the provisions of the constitution. Next we will see is integrated and independent judiciary. Integrated and independent judiciary. Independent judiciary means judiciary is independent from the executive or the parliament. Executive does not have the control over the judiciary. And integrated means judiciary is arranged in a hierarchy of courts. Integrated means hierarchy of courts. Shamshad, can you tell me what is the meaning of this hierarchy? Algol girls, can you tell me the meaning of this word hierarchy? We are not studying only polity, we are also working on our English and synonyms. Hierarchy means anyone from the online lecture? Hierarchy means arrangement into higher and lower tiers. Hierarchy. Archy means rule. Archy means rule. This word is related to rule. So for studying English, you need to have a command over the root words. Supreme Court, then High Court, then lower courts. Amshad, can you tell me how? Can I, is it necessary to have one high court for each state?
No, sir.
Actually, the constitution prescribes that there should be a high court for each state. But in some cases, we see there's a common high court for two or more states. We will see that Bombay High Court is a common high court for Maharashtra and Goa. Similarly, Union Punjab and Haryana have a single high court. Next, we will say is, Acha, everyone got the meaning of this word hierarchy? Separating all the Supreme Courts and lower courts are the arrangement of something into higher and lower classes. Next is, the next important feature is fundamental rights. Fundamental rights. Fundamental rights are included in Part 3 of the Constitution. And it goes from article. Can anyone tell me the articles for fundamental rights? 14 to 32. 32. Then there are 33, 34, 35 that describe some conditions that military rule is there. Polity is very vast and very interesting if you read it properly. Directive principles of state policy. These are enlisted in Part 4 of the Constitution. I'm sure what is the articles for all this? Fundamental rights we have ended on 35. So 36 to around 50. 36 to 51. Article 36 to 51. Actually, Article 51 is very important and very interesting in the seeing the current affairs. Article 51 says that the government should promote international peace and security. So, if you read the Constitution, it is also like a philosophy book. It is also like a rule book. It is also like a book that teaches you morals and the rights and wrongs. The next salient feature of the Constitution is fundamental duties. Now, what will be the article for this? The fundamental DPSP was included in part 4. So, what will be the part of fundamental duties? Part 4A. Because there must have been some content in the constitution with part 5. This was included during the emergency of 1976. Part 4A. Only one article. Only one article. 51A deals with fundamental duties. It has a list of 11 fundamental duties. I will see this in detail as our lecture proceeds further. 11 fundamental duties. The next salient feature of the Constitution is secular state. Now, in the starting, during the beginning lectures, I had discussed about theocratic state. Now, that concept is important here. Is India a theocratic state? So, girls from the previous lectures, what is the meaning of theocratic state? Can anyone tell me? Meaning of theocratic state. A side topic. Theocratic state means there is no separation between religion and government. So government runs based on the tenets of the religion. For example, Iran. Iran, the president and the supreme leader is a kind of a priest. Supreme leader. So secular state is a very basic and salient feature of the constitution. Supreme Court in the IR Coelho case said that secularism is the basic feature of the constitution and no government can change it. Next is secular state. It means, okay, we will also do this in detail in the preamble lectures. The next salient feature of the constitution is universal adult franchise. Now, what does this mean, Mr. Shamshad? Girls from the previous lectures, universal adult franchise means everyone above a certain age is eligible to vote. And India was everyone was in shock that India was giving universal adult franchises so early after its independence to its citizens, because all the democratic countries of and Western countries like US and European Union, all the countries from the Europe, they did not give universal adult franchise directly. People had to fight a long war with their governments. First, only those who had property they could vote. Then after that, only some person who had certain amount of income and paying income tax can only vote at the elections. And there were women had to wage a bitter struggle for voting. And similarly, movements like civil rights movement in the USA, where blacks had to fight for equal rights. Next. Now, homework for today is amendment and year. Amendment and year in which the age of voting was changed. This is very important from MCQ point of view. (21) and right now 18. And what is the age of marriage?
Like for 21 and girls, I think it changed 18 to 21.
For girls, the age of voting is 18, and for boys, the age of voting is also 18. And for marriage, for boys, the age of marriage is 21, and for girls, it is 18.
18.
Previously, it was 16. Now let us move forward. Another salient feature is single citizenship. We have discussed this in the previous lectures, so we will not go into detail about this. 14 is independent bodies. The Constitution contains provisions for independent bodies like Election Commission, Finance Commission, UPSC, CAG, etc. So that the working of the Constitution proceeds in a very smooth condition. Now we will see 40, like Election Commission, Article 324, CAG, Comptroller and Auditor General, Article 148, then State Public Service Commission and UPSC, Article 315 to 323. 15, we will see is three-tier government. This I have already explained above. Then cooperative societies. Cooperative societies. Cooperative societies means cooperative societies are societies or institutions or companies where members are owners of the group business. For example, and can anyone tell me the example of cooperative societies in India? Amul and Kathraj in Maharashtra. We will take a 5-minute break from here and we will start a new topic after this. Okay, very quickly I will give the criticisms of the constitution. Then we will take a 5-minute break. First of all, it was a borrowed. Critics said that there is nothing new in the constitution. So Dr. B.R. Ambedkar said that the first constitution was made more than 100 years ago. So how can anything new be included in the constitution? So, but borrowing does not mean plagiarism. Does not mean plagiarism. Now you have to search for the synonyms and study this word. And I will ask about it in the tomorrow's lecture. Borrowing does not mean plagiarism, and every provision was adopted after detailed scrutiny, detailed scrutiny, and adapted adapted to suit Indian conditions. Adapted to suit Indian conditions. Next important thing is next important thing we will see about is two Carbon Copy Act. Carbon Copying of Act of 1935. But the Dr. B.R. Ambedkar said that there is nothing wrong in adopting a system, nothing wrong in adopting a system that we had been practicing for years. Actually, in the Constituent Assembly, some members said that we should adopt the presidential system, but we developed a habit of using the responsible model of government, where prime minister is responsible to the legislature. Third is third criticism was on Gandhian. Some critics said that the constitution is not based on the philosophy of Gandhiji, but many of the ideals of Gandhiji were incorporated in the constitution. For example, Panchayati Raj and the upliftment of SCs and STs and other backward classes. Fourth criticism was Indian. In the but this was a very controversial issue. What does an Indian system signify? Basically, discrimination and many things going on. So try to go fast. Fifth is elephant in size. Elephant in size or bulky. This I had explained very much in detail in the previous lectures. Sixth criticism was it was a paradise for lawyers. It means that complex language of the constitution was favorable to the lawyers. Now, let 5 minute break.
enjoy.
Let us resume our lecture. Now our next topic is preamble. Preamble of the Constitution. Now, many people describe preamble as the identity card of the Constitution. It is also called as the identity card of the Constitution. Now, we will see that what the preamble reads as. Very quickly, I would like you to pay attention to the words here. The first line of the preamble says that we, the people of India. We, the people of India. So, who has made this constitution? It is we, the people of India. When now there must be a doubt that we were not present at that time, but this we includes all the generations that are about to come forward. We includes the entire India, and which was represented by the Constituent Assembly. We, the people of India, having solemnly YouTube पे check करवा रहे थे आप. Solemnly. Now the second homework for today is you have to search the meaning of this word and synonyms of this. Solemnly resolved to चालू है ना?
YouTube पे देखो.
Girls from from Algole, am I audible? Am I audible? I think I am audible. So let us continue. Resolve to constitute. Now you have to pay attention to the word. You have to search the meaning of this word also and the synonyms. Now, constitute India into a sovereign, secular, democrat, sovereign. Acha, one word I have missed. Socialist, secular, democratic, republic. Now, this arrangement of words is very important. Sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic, and republic. I will explain it in a few minutes or in the tomorrow's lecture. To secure and to secure all its citizens, all its citizens. Now these words are very important that I'm going to write now. Justice, social, economic, and political. The preamble is very important with respect to any competitive exams. You will see a question that the Constitution of India is a sovereign socialist, and there will be some 3 or 4 options included. You will have to choose a correct type of polity. Social, economic, and political. Next, liberty. Liberty of thought. The arrangement of words in the constitution is very logical. If you study the constitution properly, you will become outstanding lawyers. Liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith, and worship. Now, these keywords are very important: liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith, and worship. After I write the entire preamble, I will give a brief explanation of all these words: justice, liberty, and equality, of status and opportunity, liberty, equality, and fraternity. Fraternity. And to promote among them all. Mr. Shamshad, what does fraternity mean? Assuring the Shamshad's partner can also answer that question. Assuring the dignity of the individual and integrity of the nation. Brotherhood. Fraternity means brotherhood. Friendship is a little bhaichara. Actually, in the current pop culture, we use "Arey bhai hai mera." Equality of status and opportunity. Now, the keywords that I am going to underline are very important: equality, status, and opportunity, and to promote fraternity, dignity, and integrity. Now, as I said, that I will explain the arrangement of words. First of all, the Constitution was made by the people of India in the Constituent Assembly by the representatives. Next, we decided we were very serious to make India into a sovereign. Now, sovereign means we are independent to conduct our own affairs. Sovereign means now this is very important. We are free to conduct our affairs. Actually, in the constitution, previously before demanding for Pune complete independence, there was a demand of dominion status. In dominion status, the important things at national level were controlled by British. But we demanded a sovereign constitution, a sovereign country. We are the masters of our country. Next is socialist. Socialist means the concentration of wealth should not be in the few hands. Equitable distribution of wealth. Of wealth and welfare state and state private sector plus public sector. In some countries, private sector is not allowed and only the public sector is available. And in some countries, The private sector has major control over the resources of the country. Next, we will see is secular. This I had explained previously, so we will not go into the detail of this topic. Secular means India has no state religion and equal support to all religions. Now the question might be asked that what is the Indian model of secularism? In the traditional model of secularism, state and religion are completely held aside. There is no interconnection between the religion and the state. But in India's model, we recognize religions and there is equal support to all the religions. Next is democratic. India is a democratic polity. Democratic means a system of government where government is elected by the people, it works for the people, and it is constituted of the people. So, India is a democratic polity. Very quickly, we will write by the people, of the people, and for the people. Democratic, now a republic. This I had discussed in the previous lectures too. Republic means head of state is elected. Example in the form of president. The next important keyword is justice. And Constitution provides three types of justice. Social justice, equitable distribution of wealth, next is economic. This comes equitable distribution of wealth comes under economic justice. Social justice means there is no notion of high or low class. Economic justice means equitable distribution of wealth, and the wealth should not be concentrated in a few hands. The next important thing is fraternity and political. Political justice means everyone has equal political rights. Now we can see this in the form of universal adult franchising. Second, public offices are available open to everyone. Everyone, irrespective of race, religion, caste, etc. Now, we will conclude our lecture here for today. Let us, let us give a very fast recall of what all we have done today. Let us give a very fast review of what all we have done today. We had started with salient features of the Constitution, which was a very very large topic, but we have finished it. And we have also covered many small topics like fundamental rights, DPSP, and whatnot. So Parliament can alter any provisions of the Constitution without altering the basic structure. Then federal system with unitary bias. Indian federal system is divided into 3 tiers, 1, 2, and 3. Parliament we have seen. Council of Ministers run the government. Synthesis of parliamentary sovereignty and judicial supremacy. Then we have seen that Parliament can enact any law. Then Supreme Court has the power to determine validity of that law, and Supreme Court can declare a law invalid if it is ultra vires. Now this was the homework. No, this was not the homework. Then we have seen the integrated and independent judiciary. Then we had seen about the hierarchy of courts, Supreme Court, High Court, lower courts. Then fundamental rights in Part 3 of the Constitution, Article 14 to 32. Then we had seen that directive principles of state policy and fundamental duties, secular state, universal adult franchisee, single citizenship, independent bodies. Now these articles are very important. 3-tier government, cooperative societies, criticisms of the Constitution, borrowed, but borrowing does not mean plagiarism. Let us continue forward. It was a Carbon Copy Act of 1935. Criticisms, un-Gandhian, borrowed, un-Indian, elephantine size, which means it was very bulky. It was a paradise for lawyers. Then, Constitution was favorable to the lawyers. Then we have seen the keywords in the Constitution, and some homework that I had given was the meaning of solemnly. Then keywords: socialist, secular, democratic republic, social justice, social, political, and economic justice. Then we had seen the next thing we are going to see about tomorrow is liberty. Liberty, equality, and fraternity. This we will do very fast. And some facts regarding the amendment of the preamble. Thank you, everyone. Let us meet tomorrow.